Hi everyone, and welcome along to this Watercolour Wednesday free demonstration. It's really good to have you along. If you are logged into YouTube, you'll be able to make comments, so it'd be nice to know who's watching, who's joining in today. And we are going to be painting, which way do I have to point? Wrong way. We are going to be painting this lovely little beach scene. I did initially choose a different scene, but then I found this one and I just love the seagulls and the sun setting over the sea. So this is the one that we're going to be working on together today. Before we get started on that, let me just talk you through which colours we're going to be using. Let me just get my seat in the right position. So all of my lessons on Watercolour Wednesday focus on using the primary colours. And the primary colours that I select are Phthalo blue, Quinacradome magenta and Hansa yellow. So you can complete all of the paintings, over 130 of them, on my Watercolour Wednesday subscription service using those three colours. And then later on I introduced Burnt Sienna and Friends Grey. And the reason I introduced these two is I use them a lot and it saves time mixing your colours. But I absolutely believe you should learn to mix your colours. There's another YouTube video, I'll put the link in the description after the live, where you can watch how I mix colours from those three primaries. And then literally just launched, due to popular demand, I've bought out 3 more colours. And they are all mixed. All of these colours here, these 5 are mixed from these, but they've been mixed for you in the tubes. So we have verdant green, a lovely natural green, adore red, and golden ochre. So I'm going to play with some of these today. I'm particularly going to be using the green, the ochre, the burnt sienna and the Friends Grey. I did a little sketch earlier of the scene, so this is the kind of look that we're going for today, and it's really achievable, really easy for even a beginner to have a go at this, so I really hope you give it a try. Okay, so tools. I will be using 3 brushes, my size 12, my size 6 round, and a fine liner or a rigger brush size 1. I'll also be using a palette knife today, and you'll see what fun you can have with the palette knife creating the grasses. So that's our tools. Is there anything else I need to tell you about? You need your clean cups of water, your paints squeezed out, ready to go, and we'll make a start. What I'm going to do is get underway, and then whilst we allow things to dry, I'll just tell you a little bit more at that point about Watercolour Wednesday, so stay tuned and don't miss it. Okay, I'm going to disappear off the screen now. Let me just hit the right button so you can see everything that I'm doing. Okay, are we sitting comfortably? I've got my cup of coffee ready as well, always important. So we're going to start with the sky. Now the scene has a very muted sky, and we've got a little bit of a yellowy glow going on near the horizon, and that's where we're going to start. Don't worry about your birds, you don't need to paint round them. So we're going to first of all wet our paper. I'm just going to use a bigger brush. I didn't mention the bigger brush, but I'm going to use this size 5 flat brush. I don't want too much water, and I'm going to kind of let this vignette, we're only wetting the sky at this stage, just down to the horizon. And let's mix up our sky colour. So I'm going to take my phthalo blue. I want it really watery and loose. Nothing too strong in this sky. Now sometimes I'll dull that blue down with a little touch of my Friends Grey. And then in we go. So just coming side to side. I'm just going to remove my watch because it's catching on the pad. And we're going to start at the top, just coming across with this lovely light sky. And then, because I've already wet the paper, I'm going to walk down the sky, not literally, with my brush, so there's less and less paint as I go across the birds. Now if you want to, and you want your sky a bit stronger, you can go in again, start at the top again, take your brush across, see that bead as you stop painting, pick that bead up and walk back and forward down the sky. Coming about halfway, because in the middle it's going to kind of fade out. When you're doing your sky, to encourage the paint to run down, you could prop your board up, maybe put a roll of sellotape or something underneath, just so everything flows down. I've just realised my painting in the corner is blocking the sky, but you get the drift. Is it blocking the birds as well? Just give me 1 second while I adjust that picture for you and make our birds in the corner. In fact, let's make them disappear completely. Now you can see everything that I'm doing. So I'm just letting that fade out at the sides, and then I'm going to mix my orange for that glow in the sky. So I'm going to take magenta, clean my brush and pick up some Hansa yellow. If you haven't got Hansa yellow, you could use lemon yellow. So I want this kind of egg yolky colour for the sky, not too pink, not too orange. And we're going to come down by our horizon, come over your grasses at the side, wet onto wet, and taking that up now the same way we did the sky but in reverse order. We're bringing that upwards, and I want a glow in this middle area just around here. Now you could paint over this completely. Let's do that. Let's paint over where the setting sun is. I'm just going to add a little hue of pink in here as well. Why not? Just picking up a little bit of my magenta and running that through those colours. It's a really gentle sky. Then with a piece of tissue we can come in and lift out where our sun is. So just take your tissue, wrap it round your finger and lift out that sun. So we get our lovely sun glow in our sky. I'm just going to take that a little bit deeper, mainly for the camera, so you can see this orange. I'm going to take it a bit darker near the bottom. Working wet into wet, these colours are just going to fade into each other. I want that sun to stand out a bit more, so I'm just adding a bit of that orange around the sun. Just a damp brush now as I walk that orange into the blue either side. Wonderful. Now the next step would be to paint your sea, but if we paint the sea next, we're going to end up with it running up into the sky. So we're going to leave this band where the ocean's going to sit, and we're going to come on to the sand. I'm just going to clean my palette off. Now it's a very shadowy beach, okay, but I'm still going to start with a sand colour. So I'm going to take my golden ochre. I'm going to add a touch of burnt sienna. All very light still, very watery puddles that I'm creating. Now if you haven't tried my paints, these were developed by myself. They're handmade paints I created, and now they're made for me by a wonderful guy up in Nottingham. Okay, so I'm going to come in now. I've mixed my colour ready. A little bit more golden ochre in there. Make sure you mix enough. Fabulous. Clean my brush, and again we're going to pre-wet that area where the sand's going to go. I'm just using my size 12 round brush and sweeping backwards and forwards down the beach. I'm going over where the grass is going to sit because some of that sand is going to peek through. Coming down onto the beachy sandy area in front of the grass. Excuse me, I'm a little bit croaky today. You want it damp, not soaking wet, and don't forget, don't go into the sea area. Now if you're not sure whether your paint's wet enough, lift your paper and you should see that lovely shine on the paper, but no puddles. If you see when you lift it up a puddle forming at the side, just soak that up with the tip of your brush. And then into our sand colour, coming in, overlapping the grasses again a little bit each side, and walking down with that brush. Very therapeutic, just take your time and just letting that fade out at the edges again. So we've got a lovely golden colour on our sand, and because we've wet the paper, even if I put these bands in, they're going to seep into the paper and give us a nice flat surface to work on. Okay, now this is where we've run into a little spot of bother because we've got wet sky and wet sand, so we still can't put our ocean in just yet. So whilst we wait for that to dry, I'm just going to talk you through what Watercolour Wednesday is about and show you some of the lessons that you can access should you decide to join us. Okay, I've left my glasses on the table. Let me grab those. Here we go. Let's just pop over and have a look at my website. So when you arrive at my website, this is what you'll see. And I'll just scroll down so you can see the front page. And you'll see a link to Watercolour Wednesday just here. You can click that, or you can click the class subscription plans at the top. So you'll come onto this page and see the details and the description about Watercolour Wednesday. And as you scroll down, actually before I go there, you can also order a starter bundle here, and that would give you all 5 of the colours, excluding the 3 new ones, the green, the red and the golden ochre, your pad and a set of brushes. So you can click there and order your starter set as well. You can also purchase it as a gift. So you can purchase Watercolour Wednesday here as a gift, and that will send a voucher to your recipient. You can send it to yourself, or you can send it direct to the recipient. Then we come down to a gallery, And this is just showing you some of the wonderful paintings that you can achieve and take part in. This is just a snapshot of the classes that are available here. And you can see we cover everything from animals to plants to landscapes. We have people involved too, floral scenes, snowy, Christmassy scenes for people walking through the snow and our stag appearing. We've even got a leopard tortoise. So once you come down, you'll see your pricing plans, and this is where you can select your membership. So starting on the right, we have the monthly watercolour membership. Now this is £9.99 per month, and it's a subscription, so it will renew every month until you cancel. There's no minimum memberships, you can cancel at any time. You will gain access to every Watercolour Wednesday that I stream, and on top of that, the very second you join, you get access to the library. I didn't count them before the class. It's over 130 classes that are just sat there just waiting for you to pick up your brush. So £9.99 if you just want, maybe you just want to try for a month and see how you get on. Or you could then upgrade if you wanted to. Moving across, we've got the 3-month membership, which is basically buy 2 get 1 free. So £19.98 for 3 months worth of lessons. And then the absolute best value out of them all is the annual watercolour, and that would save you around £75 compared to the monthly watercolour. So if you do it for a little while, you're not ready to jump straight to annual, but you find you like it, I'd suggest upgrading your membership, because for 87p per week, remember there's 130 odd classes now. By this time next year we can add 52 to that, so 182 classes that will give you access to, and you will have access to the classes all the time that you stay a member. So once you have signed up and you're ready to take part, you just go to a login button over here, log in, and it will give you where you manage your subscriptions, any orders you place, any bookings you make for live classes, and then you've got my classes. You just click the my classes button. Now I do teach on a subscription 2 types of classes. There's Watercolour Wednesday, and for those of you that like pastels, I've also got Pretty in Pastels, but we're going to focus on Watercolour Wednesday, and you just click view all. It takes you to the library. Now the first one you see in the library is always the up and coming one with the photo reference. So we're doing Mount Edgecombe Folly this week, tomorrow, and then you can just scroll down, choose the lesson you like the look of, and then click the more button. Just to point out, if you're very new, here's the how to mix your colours class. We've got different blending classes, how to achieve a flat wash, some simple flowers for beginners, and then you can just scroll through. So if we take a look at the zebra, for instance, and click the more button, this is what you'll be presented with. So the painting, you'll see the photo reference and a line drawing, which you can go and download, print off and trace, because let's face it, not everybody likes drawing. So that's Watercolour Wednesday. Really easy to access and watch at any time. You can also join me live every Wednesday if you're free at 1 o'clock, and we'll paint together. When you join Watercolour Wednesday, you also get access, you also get access to discounted rates off of my products. So the paints that I showed you earlier, the brushes, all of that comes with a 10% discount if you're a Watercolour Wednesday member. Sorry about that, I was just moving my microphone so you could hear me. So check out the store as well, art products. You've got my handmade professional paints, brushes, pads, everything you need to get you started. So, shall we do some more painting? We should be dry now. Fabulous. Are you ready to continue? One thing I didn't mention to you today at the beginning is today I've decided to work on a watercolour block. I'm not using tons of water, so a Bockingford block is what I'm using. It's cold pressed paper. Comes in a block that's gummed on all edges, so it stops the paper lifting too much for you. Generally though, I work on Bockingford paper again, but I stretch it and tape it to the board, and this is the foolproof way of making sure you don't get buckled paper. Excuse me, I've got hiccups now. So let's put our ocean in, shall we? So for our ocean, I want a slightly darker blue than the sky. I am going to bring some of that golden glow in as well, so I'm going to take my phthalo blue. Let me just reposition. My phthalo blue again, a little bit creamier this time. And into that, I'm going to add some burnt sienna. Now, burnt sienna and phthalo blue give you a lovely ocean colour. If you put too much in, it's a brown, just like I created there. But you get this wonderful teal colour. Let me grab a piece of paper so I can show you that colour. You get that lovely oceany turquoisey blue. So in we go. You could take this off if you're not sure you're good at getting straight lines. And we're just going to come across that horizon where the ocean's at its darkest. And as I get to the middle, I'm going to stop beneath the sun, right under the sun, and leave a gap where that sunshine's hitting the ocean. So we've left a gap there, and then just a little bit more paint on my brush. I'm just going to walk this down, touching in to that dark blue where the sea's darker at the horizon, coming down to our shoreline. I want it a little bit darker still, so I'm going to go back in just with a bit of paint on the tip of my brush. Fabulous. And I mentioned I want that golden colour reflected in the sea, so I'm going to pick up my orange and I'm going to come near the sun, a bit of orange, and work that back into your blue. The other thing you could do, let me show you, we could take that all the way across if you wanted to, just like we did in the sky. Take your tissue and wrap your finger around it and just press down and lift out that reflection in the sea. Easy. And it's nice that it just breaks that line at the back of the ocean. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more of that orange. Remember that was Hansa yellow or lemon yellow. With your magenta, get that reflection in the ocean, and because it's wet, this is just going to melt together. Okay, now then, the next thing we're going to do is add some texture to the sand. And we want to use a complementary colour to do that. Let me just grab my colour wheel for you. which, I'm sorry guys, the colour wheel has done a runner on me. So the opposite colour of yellow is purple. If you look at a colour wheel, you'll see that purple, and we've got this yellowy sand colour. So to do the shadows on the sand, I'm going to mix up a purple. Let's get rid of my ocean colour, make some room. And you get the most beautiful purples using phthalo blue and quinacradome magenta. In we go. We've got this lovely purple. Now that's a bit too pink, so I'm going to add some more blue, just a little bit at a time. The first thing you'll find if you purchase my colours is how strong they are. There we go, it's our nice lavendery purple. And I'm going to come into the sand at the back here, very light wash. Again, come in into the sand dunes and just walking that down and out to the side. Carry on going. We're working wet on to dry here, and we're not mixing these colours together. They're going to mix optically because we're just taking a thin wash over the sand. And it will give you that grey look, because when you mix complementary colours together, you make a neutral colour. So we're neutralising the sand. Neutralising the sand. Fabulous. Now I'm going to get my piece of tissue again, because where that sun's coming down, I just want to lift out a little path coming down, revealing the colour underneath. So we've got that little pathway there. And now I'm going to darken those shadows. So right next to the sea, I'm going to make my paint a little thicker, a little creamier, because we're now working wet onto wet. Now I'm going to come in where the sand is wet, next to the sea. Fabulous. And I'm also going to come in a little stronger under the sand dunes, near the foreground. Just having a little dance with my brush, just adding this colour in. I'm going to add a little bit more sand colour as well. And you can see where that's mixing and giving me a nice browny grey tone. Just lifting out with a damp brush and my tissue where that pathway is. And walking it off to the side. We're going to emphasize those shadows again in a little while, but first of all I need to let that dry back a little bit, and we're going to turn our attention to the grasses, the sand grasses. So we're going to have fun. Our palette knife is going to come out and we're going to pop in some colours at the base of the sand dune. I'm going to start with grey. So Friends Grey, Paynes Grey, or a neutral tint. Quite creamy. So my puddle's gone from a cordial to more of a milky consistency, and I'm just going to come in wet onto wet at the base of these grasses. Just play with that brush and tapping in where I want the grasses to sit. This is going to seem a bit alien to some, a bit darker still, a bit creamier. And then I'm going to go burnt sienna next. Burnt sienna, same thing, nice and creamy, and I'm going to tap that in and on top of the grey. Let it mix. And then we're going to go to our greens. So I'm using verdant green here. I'll show you how to mix verdant green. And we're just going to do the same thing again. I'm pointing my brush upwards the way the grasses are growing. Nice and creamy again. There we go. So we're getting all those beautiful colours working together. I just want to come across a little bit further towards the path there. So just repeat the colours again. And my green. We could also add some of that beautiful golden ochre or yellow ochre. Fabulous. Okay, and you can see those grasses are softening into the beach all naturally by themselves. I'm going to take my rigger brush next and I'm going to go into these paints and start flicking up. Just have a nice wet brush so you can pick up that colour. Start from the bottom and pull through. Right on the tip of the brush, using the paints we've already got down on the paper. We can add to them later. The grasses are getting a bit shorter here. And the same the other side. Just a wet brush. Come in and drag through. Look at the direction the grasses are going. Mix up your brush stroke. Fabulous, and we're getting those beginnings of the grasses, but it doesn't stop there. The next thing I want you to do is grab your palette knife. Okay, we're going to go into the dark. You kind of want the shine still on your work, but not puddles. If it's really wet, stop and wait until you've just got a shine. And we're going to scratch through. Have a tissue so you can wipe your palette knife. Come on to the edge and scrape him through. Giving us lighter grasses. That's why we went really dark in the first place. So these lighter grasses would show up. Now if you see your lines are just filling in, that's because you've gone too early and it's still too wet. If it's not doing anything, you've left it too long and the paint's too dry. So it's just timing it right. Coming across. Oops, I've just put a fingerprint in the sand. Change the direction. Fabulous. How cool is that? And it looks really natural. You can do as much or as little as you want. I'm just going to fill in a few more fine grasses at the base. I'm going to let that dry back a little bit. And I'm going to bring in a few more grasses at the front here. So I'm going to do the same thing again. Have a dark patch here with my grey. building up those colours, grey, then burnt sienna. It's going to be a bit smaller. I just want some grasses coming out of this area. And then my green. Maybe a little few over here as well. Just a couple of patches. And some green. You can really have fun with this. And then a couple of areas I'm just going to put a few dots. Okay? Take your rigger brush next and bring your grasses up. Just touching into that paint. Wet your brush. If it's too dry, it's not going to pick the paint up. You can add a few more as well if you want to. Put in some of these grasses that are laying down. Fabulous. Back to the palette knife and scraping through. So these grasses now look in front of the others. Pull some across. They've been blown by the wind. Satisfying noise, isn't it? And these ones laying on the ground. And there we have a really simple way to create your grasses. How effective is that? How cool is that? Okay, now, if you haven't gone dark enough in your initial wash, you could let this dry and repeat that process at the base so you get it nice and dark, or you can just mix up a darker green. So I'm going to use my Friends Grey. Let me just move my palette over. Friends Grey in with my green to make a really dark, rich green, and with my rigger brush I'm going to come in again with some additional grasses. You could use a fatter brush if you want to. Just keep loading it back up, creating yet another layer of depth to your painting. How relaxing is this? How therapeutic. And there are a few other little stray grasses on the sand. Now there was a wooden post in there somewhere. I'm going to get my size 6 brush and I'm going to add that wooden post. I want my wooden post. So I'm just going to use burnt sienna and pop my little wooden post in here. And then I'm going to take grey over the top, allowing a little bit of that wood to show through. And then I'm going to cover it with grass. So I've switched to my size 6 brush, adding some thicker, darker grasses in, but it's all exactly the same process. I'm staying right up onto the tip of the brush. I'm not pushing down. If you push down, you're going to get a fat mark. Keep it nice and light. Stay up on the tip. Okay, I'm happy with the grass, I think. I could play for hours. So if you've not been on my YouTube channel before, it would be really cool if you hit the subscribe button. and anytime I put free tutorials on, you'll get a notification. So just hit that button. I was going to put some more drifts in the sand, so let's do that next. So here I want a few areas where the sand's been blown to and fro, so I'm going to use my purple again. I'm going to choose a spot of sand, and just with the tip of my brush I'm going to create the top of that sand drift. I'll do a couple, one here, maybe one here. Have them going in different directions, and then with a clean brush I'm going to come into that and pull to one side. Just pick up some of that colour and pull to one side. Creating our drifts in the sand. I nearly said snow again. So coming in between the leaves there. Put your mark down with that purple colour. I'm going to come under that grass, clean my brush off and sweep to the side. I'm going to take it that way because the sunshine is set in there. I'm going to come in here, just a little line, clean your brush off and pull to the side. Clean brush, pull to the side. Isn't that effective? Now if you want to, you can add some back here too, but make sure you make them tiny, just using the tip of your brush. Same process, exactly the same, but make your marks smaller because we're going into the distance, so you wouldn't see them so big. Getting slightly bigger as we're coming closer to us. Pulling off to one side. Now in this middle section I'm going to go back to my sand colour and create some in the sand colour, because here we've got a glow on the beach. So putting my marks in again, getting slightly bigger as we come towards us. Clean your brush off, dry it off, get it back to a point and pull down to one side. So we're getting that glow that's catching in the evening sunset. A couple of tiny ones back here. I've got a bit of classical music going on in the background. There we go. So we're getting that glow, that sun hitting. The one thing I'm not happy with, and it's because I lifted out and the paper wasn't really that wet, so I'm just going to take a clean brush and soften those hard lines where the sun is reflected in the sea. It's just looking too solid, so I'm just softening that up. Remember, watercolour's never permanent. And then I want to come with my purple one last time with a little hint of the sand colour and come for the wet sand close to the water's edge. Fabulous. Okay, so whilst that's drying, we need to let that dry, and then we're going to come and finish off with our seagulls. So let's just go back over to my website for 1 second while we allow that to dry, and I can show you the products. So at the top on the menu bar here you can see art products. You can just click there or come down and click art material, and it will take you to my product page. And just like any other well-known website, you just click what you want. On the paints, you can buy by the tube, you can decide which tube. Here's your gift pack as well. If you're buying Watercolour Wednesday as a gift for somebody, you can buy your gift pack here too. There's the voucher that they get. You've got all your papers, the wash brushes that you saw me using, masking fluid, fine liner pens, mixing palettes. Everything you want is there. And just remember, for the class subscription plans, you just click go to Watercolour Wednesday and choose your event. Now you keep these lessons all the time. You have access to them the whole time that you stay a member to Watercolour Wednesday. I'm just going to click one of them. Let's click through. We'll go up to my account and classes, log in, my account and classes, choose your library. I'm very croaky today, don't know why. And I'm looking for, what am I looking for? So there's various skill levels involved. Oh, the donkey's cute. I was looking for one in particular. Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll be here all day. You can see how many lessons there are for you to choose from. And they're just going to grow and grow. Ah, Nosy Moo. So if we click on Nosy Moo, at the top you'll find a link to YouTube. It will take you over to YouTube. It's a private YouTube that nobody else has got. And then you can watch the lesson. So that, just like you're seeing today, you see every brush stroke taking place. There's no annoying voiceovers. Everything is done in real time. So if I make a mistake, you see that mistake happen. Sometimes you see the top of my head when I lean too far forward. And as I say, you can watch again and again as many times as you wish. So let's come out of that and come back and finish our painting.
It's
Here we
too
go.
white.
So everything's dry now. We can pay our attentions to our little seagulls flying in the sky.
I'm just going to add some water.
For this, because they're much smaller, I'm going to use my size 6 brush.
Taking life into my own hands.
Just bringing my reference picture back in.
It was too light.
If anyone
and it was
wants a copy of the reference picture,
so by
just message me on
with a bit of
Facebook.
water, allowing the colours to bleed a little,
actually, I'll share the
takes that
reference
focus
picture
back where we
on
want
the Facebook
it,
link
onto
where
her
you
nose.
joined this class. So I'm taking a diluted Friends Grey. I'm
darker
just going to turn
under
this
her
round
lip,
so I get
I
a
think.
nice angle. And I'm going to
Touch of grey in there. A few little dots of grey under the
wing.
top of
That's
her
a little
bottom
bit done,
lip.
but it's not come off on my hand.
I think
Down the edge of his wing with that grey.
she's done in essence.
And then a little bit of diluted burnt sienna.
Just a bit that I missed there.
Filling in the gap.
Rock that in. So I'm going to give her a little bit of blue behind her, a little bit of hint of sky to finish off.
Fabulous. I'm going to take some creamier grey for the tips
I'm going to take my
of his
phthalo
wing.
blue. Not too strong. Again, I don't want it to detract from our cow.
There we go. Just on those
Might
edge
add a little
feathers.
touch
Those feathers
of
are a bit
magenta in
darker.
there.
I'm just
To
going to
turn it
zoom the
more-
camera in for you
So if
guys,
you add
so
phthalo
you can
blue
see a bit clearer
and add magenta
what's going
to
on.
it, you end up with something
Where's my zoom button?
My brain today, it really is not working. To ultramarine, that's it.
Here we
So
go.
I'm just going to come around her face with a bit of
So
blue.
you can just see that grey bleeding in. Same again the other side. Come in with my watery
choose
grey
some spots.
first.
I'm going to come here.
Coming across the wing, down to his
Couple of
head,
spots of blue,
and a little bit at
and
the
then I'm going to
side.
add water. Okay,
And
water,
then some watered
creeping
burnt
up on the
sienna.
blue, allowing it to fade out.
To fill in the gaps.
I've not put much paint down at all here. It's just
Probably
to give a
bit too
hint
brown, so I'm going to
some
lift some of
sky
that out.
and some clouds
I
in the
changed my
background.
mind. We're
Be
allowed.
careful if her body's still wet. I've just
Get
got a
into his
bleed. I'm
little
going to have to sort that
body.
out later.
I'm going to bring the grey line
Just having that
under his belly,
bit of blue.
and I'm coming up onto the tip.
I've
Not
touched
much
her
paint
body.
on my brush at all.
Okay, you guys, if you've
And I'm
not
gonna
got to
come
this
into
bit
those
yet,
towel
dry
feathers.
it off before you put the sky in, or the hint of sky. I'm
And then
deciding
with
whether I
just
want a bit
water
by
on
her
my
head. I
brush,
think I
I'm going to
do.
spread this grey
And add a bit by her head.
across his belly, so he's getting lighter as we go up towards
Clean
the
water.
wing. Just softening.
Just keep it
giving that
haphazard
paint
and
somewhere
random.
to go.
Where there's paint, where there's water. And I'm going to splatter.
Fabulous. And then onto his head again, really creamy with the
Mixing
grey.
a dark
for that really dark
blue
cap on
now,
his head.
adding a bit of magenta in. I'm going to give it a little splatter.
Coming
I've
across.
not done a splatter in ages.
We're even going to leave a
There
little
we
gap
go.
for his eye.
And there we
I'm
have
going to
her.
leave his beak for now. We'll
She
come back
needs
to
a
that. We'll
name. I
go to
think
the other
Ermington.
bird.
Right, I
Same
haven't done her
again.
whiskers.
Grey.
So I'm going to dry her
Start.
off and then I'll show you how to do the whiskers. Here we go.
Quite light grey. This time I'm going to fill that whole wing in with the grey. Coming down to the body now, I can see a shadow in this lower part of his wings. I'm taking the grey a bit darker there. And then very, very creamy grey into the tips of that wing. Same the other side, watered down grey to start us off. And I'm going to leave a little bit of white this time. So I'm coming into the folded over part of his wing first. Light grey.
Okay.
And then darker
A couple of
grey
things
on
I'm
the
not happy
edge.
with, just to touch on. Around her nose here is a bit
And
white.
then very
I'm just going to
carefully on the
soften
very
that
tip of my
with a touch
brush,
of water.
I'm just
And then
gonna
into
come
the whiskers. So
along
I'm going to use the
the
craft
edge of that
knife.
wing.
Make sure your paper's
Just there.
dry. And then I'm just going to
And
flip
into his body.
and score and tear a bit of the
and along
paper.
his belly.
Please make sure your paper's fully dry.
I'm pulling some little
You can
strokes
get
out
these
for
little
his tail
scratched
feathers.
hairs coming from her chin. I'm going to put some.
And then
up
just
here
use
as
what's
well.
left on your brush to fill that belly in.
Then you get those tiny little white
A little
hairs.
bit darker
Really
and
simple
creamier,
way.
so I'm going
Of
very
course, if you
creamy
want
again.
to, you could use a
Just
white
to come under
pen
that
to do
belly.
that. So there she is.
Whoops.
Delilah, I think her name is. Delilah Moo.
Fabulous. I think
It's
this
such
little guy
fun.
here needs a bit more
I
shadow.
hope you
So
enjoy
on
painting
his belly,
your
I can see
Delilah
some
Moo.
tones of that burnt sienna again. So I'm just going to bring a little bit of
Coming
burnt
back to
sienna
see you.
underneath. Wonderful. And
Me and my
then
moo.
very, very creamy,
I
really
hope
creamy,
you've
just a
enjoyed
damp
painting your
brush
moos.
and strong paint. I'm
Please
just
share
going to
them on
turn
our
my paper
Facebook
round
group.
again.
I love seeing your
Now, if
paintings.
you turn your
And I
paper
have
round and you
taken a bit
printed off
more
a
time
reference
to make
picture,
comments you might
it's
have
always
seen.
good to
If there's
turn
something
that
I
round
see
as
you
well,
could improve
so you
upon.
don't paint in
So,
the wrong place. And we
if you
can
haven't
see
joined
like a
Facebook
mask
group, why not?
on our
Get over
bird
there
here,
now.
the top
Share
of his
your
head, that
paintings. We're a
black
really
head.
supportive bunch. And I will see you next week. Take
Coming
care.
under an
Bye
eye.
for now. Bye.
And then their beak, I'm going to use my golden ochre with a touch of burnt sienna
Delilah, thank you. See you soon. Bye.
into the beak. Very light. And finally, a little bit of grey underneath. You know, if you're getting into real detail, in these birds, if you look closely, you can see their legs tucked up. That little shape there. But they're in the sky. Okay, this wing this side, I'm going to add a touch of blue, reflecting from our sky. A hint of blue under that wing there. and a hint of blue from the towel feathers. Fabulous. And there we have. Let me zoom back out again. And come back to join you. So there's our picture. We can see here. Just going to grow that, make it a bit bigger. There we are. And I'm hiding behind it. So I wonder if I can move that over the other side. There we go. So thank you so much for joining in with me today. I'm walking the wrong way again. Here I am. I never get the gist. Everything's back to front when you're working in this way. Everything is back to front. I hope you heard all that, because I realised I left my big mic stand over the other side of the room, but I'm sure it picked everything up. So there is our beautiful painting. There it is. There it is. If you would like to subscribe, remember, just head to my website, euniceJfriend.com, and that's where you can find your subscription to Watercolour Wednesday. I hope you at least paint along with this one, and if you do, please go back to the event or go on my Facebook page and post within the event. One last thing before I go, actually, I've just thought of, I recently set up a Facebook group called Watercolour Wonders, and that's a really friendly group where I post videos, little lessons like this. There's hints and tips, and you get to share the artwork that you've done as well. So if you want to pop to Facebook, let me just show you it before you go. If you're going now, thank you for joining, but I'll just go back to the screen and show you Watercolour Wednesday. No, Watercolour Wonders. Here we go. So let's just pop back over to my website, to my Windows browser, and I'll just go to my Facebook page now. And in your search bar on Facebook, you just type in, I was typing in Facebook, Watercolour Wonders. There it is. And it will take you here. All you need to do is click to join. I'm already a member. It obviously recognises me. And it's a place where you can, here's about today, where you can share your work, you get special offers, and at the top there's a section called featured. If you click in the featured section, that's where I'll post all of the lessons, the free lessons that I offer as well. There's a little blue tick there. So there we go. So that's Watercolour Wonders. Watercolour Wonders is such a wonderful medium. So I'll say goodbye now. Thank you so much for joining. Take care, and I hope to see you in another class really soon. Bye for now. Bye. Bye.